Hello and welcome, it's Chris from Christopher Holt Training and welcome to this week's tutorial where we're going to be talking about 5 common causes of lower back pain. Now I'm going to try and keep these causes of lower back pain as practical and as everyday and as real life as I can so you guys can go away and use this information a little bit more practically. Now the information does come from my How to Overcome Lower Back Pain ebook, so if you want to download that you can click the link in the description below and you can pop your details in and then use that information. Now the information within it is sort of practical and there is anatomy with it, but what I have tried to do is try to focus it in a direction that you can then use that information. So we've got exercises in there to start doing, stretches in there to start doing, and workout guidelines to start using them by. There are also exercises and stretches to avoid because there are a lot of exercises and stretches that people are doing that aren't that effective for your lower back pain. They're quite popular, they're quite mainstream, so to know those is very useful and to start doing the ones that are suggested in the ebook. So again, if you want to download that, click the link in the description below, pop your details in, and then you'll have it. If you're watching this on social media, so Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever it might be, please do comment below. Please do ask questions below. It would be great to hear those. Please do like, follow, and subscribe to the various pages and channels that you're watching this on, and then I can give you feedback and answer any questions that you might have based on the topic that we're talking about today. The 5 common causes of lower back pain. As I've mentioned, they are a little bit more practical and everyday. So number 1 is repeated bending of the spine. Number 2 is repeated twisting of the spine. Number 3 is prolonged sitting in a poor posture. Number 4 is poor everyday movement. And number 5 is excessive compression of the spine. Now these are a little bit more practical and everyday because when we talk about repeated bending, we're talking about sit-ups, we're talking about crunches, we're talking about just being out in everyday life when we're lifting something off the ground and we bend our back to get there, or repeated twisting, so that could be twisting exercises or twisting movements every day. Obviously sitting, we want to try and use a better posture. Everyday movement in general, so we're just trying to move a little bit better in everyday life. Lifting from the hips, twisting from the hips, so on and so forth. Carrying the weight on our torso and not on our lower back, so we're using the muscles of the arms and the torso to do so. And then finally, excessive compression is probably the least let's just say everyday one, because if you were to slip and fall and then land on your coccyx, which is the base of your spine, or land on the hips, and it sends an excessive amount of force up through the spine, that can then cause lower back pain as well. So those are my 5 common causes of lower back pain. Now what they turn into is they turn into what you normally hear from a health and fitness professional. You've got tight muscles, you've got a herniated disc, your muscles are spasming, whatever it might be. So those are the causes that are creating those effects. So what we've got to understand is that these injuries, if we want to call them that, so the tight muscles, the spasming muscles, the herniated or the bulging discs, they didn't turn up by accident. They turned up for a reason. And those reasons are the 5 that I mentioned before: the repeated bending, the repeated twisting, the poor sitting, the poor everyday movement, and the excessive compression on the spine. So what we've got to understand is that it's our, in a sense, poor movement habits that are creating this back injury. So if we can, in a sense, remove or reduce the poor movement habits, we can then start reducing the instances of tight muscles, spasming muscles, discs bulging and herniating, so on and so forth. So from this video, what I hope you get from it is that back pain isn't, in a sense, something that's wrong with your body. It's something that's been created over a period of time. Now, if you're experiencing it, there is a path out of it. Again, I talk about that in my ebook, but if you start following what I've mentioned in this tutorial, then you'll start going some way to starting on that journey. Obviously, when we add exercises and stretches to it, so the right exercises and the right stretches to it, based on the underpinning knowledge that's in the ebook, we can then start to move forward a little bit faster and a little bit further into that journey. And the further we can take the improving of movement, the exercises and the stretches, the further we can take that, the further down that journey that we go, and the less that you experience lower back pain. So in a sense, it's not a do a couple of stretches and then your back pain is miraculously gone. It's more of a journey that you're on, and we talk about that in the ebook. I'll give you some questions to start answering to help you understand your lower back pain, and obviously you've got the stretches to avoid and the stretches to start, which will hopefully, as you work through that ebook, it will all start to fit together and build a picture of how you overcome lower back pain, because it's not, as I've mentioned, do a couple of exercises or build a bit of core strength and then it's all of a sudden gone. There's a little bit more to it than that, which I detail in the ebook. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Hopefully it's given you a better idea of the journey that you have the ability to start, and hopefully you do start that journey by downloading the ebook from ChristopherHoldTraining.com. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris. I hope to speak to you in a future tutorial.